course, we have the inactivate and activate. So let's say that their primary insurance coverage was no longer effective. You can select it here, or maybe their secondary, select it, and then click on inactivate. When you click inactivate, it does a couple of things. First of all, it puts in inactivation date. So this is when their insurance coverage end on July 30th, 2008, which was yesterday. And if I need to update it to today, I can go ahead and do that, but it's yesterday. And you can also see here, adds a little I here because you have A/I. A is for active, I is for inactive. So now, up in the insurance order field, I just have 1, and it's the number 1 here. Again, this doesn't mean 1 is primary, not at all. This could be number 2, this could be number 3, and I could change this around to primary. It just means at the time that it was entered into the system and it's showing which insurance is available, it's the number 1 here, and that happens to be the primary coverage, okay? Just happens to be. Now, like I said before, if all of a sudden one of the insurance claims came back earlier than July here, let's say it came back in May, I fixed it, I need to rebill it. Well, to rebill it, I need to reactivate this. So if I click on activate, changes it from inactive to active, I can go ahead and rebill it. Then once I send the claim out the door, I can inactivate it again. So that's why it's important you don't delete any of these, and it's why important that you don't come down in here and override it saying, oh, you got a new insurance? What is it, Aetna? Let me just go ahead and start typing in Aetna. No, don't do that. Always hit clear, and then go ahead and type in the new insurance. You may get after a while that a patient has like 5 primary insurances, and that's okay. With those many primary insurances, probably of the 5, usually only 1 is going to be active because all the others are inactive if the patient goes through that many insurance carriers, or the patient's been, with you for 20 years. Next is the audit log. If you want an audit to find out who made changes or who activated or inactivated or whatever they made to Blue Cross Blue Shield or the Cigna, be sure to select them first, like let's say Cigna. Now let's go to Blue Cross. Select it and then go ahead and click on audit log. See, it gives us a nice little report here. Shows me what the old value was, $15 for the co-pay, July 30th. For the effective end date here, who made the change, what day and what time they made the change, and what the new value is. So it's nice just in case we forget or we overwrite the subscriber ID. Remember, it used to be a 3, now it's a 2 here, and we bill it out and it comes back incorrect, and I can't remember what the old one was. Well, it keeps track of it here, hence the audit log. So you can go ahead and yell at your coworkers if they're making changes that they shouldn't. So in any case, I'm going to close out. And then we have the More button, which just gives us more information about their annual deductible, if the deductible has been met, the year-end month, and then of course the lifetime benefit. So type that in, then click OK. Checking a patient's eligibility. All that means is that if the patient gives you an insurance card and says, look, I have Blue Cross Blue Shield here, you want to verify to make sure that the patient is still eligible. Just because they have a card doesn't necessarily mean that they have insurance coverage. So you can actually do a live online, clicking on the button here to check the eligibility to make sure as of that date that you check the eligibility that the patient does have coverage. So to finish my thought, when you click on check eligibility, you're going to get some results back. First of all, you get a little hourglass here while it's checking for eligibility, and then, I don't know, give it 5 or 10 seconds. Then once it's done checking, if the patient's got an OK, you'll get a green check mark here and eligibility comments. You can double click on the comments real fast and it'll bring up a window over here that you can view all the details about their eligibility. If you get a red circle here with the red line through it, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have coverage. It just means that it's unconfirmed, or maybe Relay Health or AdvancedMD had a glitch. But again, you'll have some notes here, but you can always double click on those to get more details to find out. And if necessary, you can check eligibility later, but then again, keep in mind you're going to be charged for every time you click on the check eligibility button. Maybe you want to call the insurance carrier, it might be cheaper, it just depends, but keep that in mind. Another symbol that you want to keep an eye out for is a little yellow yield sign. If you see a little yellow triangle, it means that the request for eligibility didn't go through to Relay Health due to missing data in the application, meaning that maybe you didn't have the subscriber ID. See how that just went? So if you didn't have it, it'll give you a little yellow yield sign, and it should give you some notes about how to take care of that, or just be sure to look down here and make sure you have in all the information. Well, since I deleted that, I'm going to click clear so I don't save it, and then click back on my Blue Cross Blue Shield, and you can see it's back because I didn't save it. Now, if you do get a red circle here and it says that the eligibility was unconfirmed, again, it doesn't mean that they're not eligible, but read the notes. It'll also create a pop-up memo. Every time you pull up this patient here, John Adams, you're going to get a pop-up window here, and it'll keep popping up over and over and over again to let you know that they're unconfirmed eligibility. Now what you can do, you see that little bypass button? If you click on bypass, it's going to add a little blue arrow. It's going to replace that little red circle with a little blue arrow here, and that little blue arrow means that you bypassed it, and it will remove the pop-up memo warning, so you don't get that in the future anymore, because maybe the patient is eligible and you just don't want to see that pop-up anymore. And of course, if you have blank fields here like you see here, it means that I haven't checked the eligibility for Blue Cross or Cigna. You do have the details button, but I like double clicking. You can select the line item here like Blue Cross and click details. It's the same as double clicking on the eligibility comments to read the details about when you check their eligibility, if it was confirmed or if it was unconfirmed with the red circle. One final note is that there's some insurance carriers that you can't check eligibility because Relay Health doesn't have contracts with them. You want to watch a training video on that, but just keep that in mind. Not all insurance carriers can you check their eligibility of the insurance coverage for the patient you have up here. If your system is set up to check eligibility automatically, it only does it once a year, except Medicaid. Medicaid, it will do it once a month. Otherwise, if once a year isn't doing it for you and you need to do it once every 6 months or once every 2 months, or when you see the patient again, you can demand it to be checked right here by clicking on the Check Eligibility button. And it will give you the date here of when it was last checked, which was today.